see how close it is to Australia and all the areas where the earthquake tsunami hit. And I was just, when I had a feeling that that's what was going to turn up. And I was really glad and surprised that it did turn up like that. Because in some of Lovecraft stories, people would get washed up on Cthulhu's island and disturb him, and he would come out like eating folks up, tearing them up, that kind of thing. Cthulhu wasn't trapped on this island. He operated outside of our space and time. Lovecraft repeatedly said that there were people in Egypt, Thailand, Indonesia, throughout Africa, India, all the native people of the world had certain low-life sects that worship Cthulhu. And they did rituals to bring Cthulhu back into this world. Because that's, like I said, one of the elder guys that pre-existed all the known historical guys of our time. So that is some scary stuff just to consider.
Peace and life, family. Now, this is the video that I want to share with you concerning the cosmic events occurring all over the world. The New Age Society's magazine cover is entitled Interviewing the World. So this is our kind of interviewing, reflecting and analyzing the natural occurrences that we most often call it Daughter Earth, Mother Nature, Mother Universe, her raft, the ancestors. And one particular ancestor that we must discuss, Bobby Hemmitt discussed, and shout out to Serious Times Media with its timely video. I have to get the exact name of the video that they dropped on, I believe it was January. It was a couple days before this eruption in the East Asian Pacific Islands. So I wanted to share with you this clip, and then we're going to talk about it. We're going to review the clips. We're going to review what our great master teachers have been warning us about. Every 1,000 years, Cthulhu returns. And if you are all been studying about the great ancestors, the great titans, we believe this is where the story of Godzilla originated. Lovecraft, okay? H.P. Lovecraft wrote in the what's it called, y'all? The Necronomicon about these dreams, and he pinpointed exactly where this beast or this monster was located, his home. And when people went to disturb that area, he would devour them and murder them. So it was a big deal back in those days. This is in the 1920s and 30s. H.P. Lovecraft. And recently there was a movie out, Lovecraft Country. And they were talking about the stars. They were talking about the cosmos. They were speaking deeply about the ancestor and the blood and what is the prophecies. And let's just watch, okay? And I'm going to do my best to educate. This is for fair use. I will, I have to recite the fair use law, where I'm using this video for the purpose of education and an understanding of what is going
Extraordinary satellite images captured the moment an underwater volcano erupted. Even in an active volcanic region, scientists estimate that this eruption was a 1 in 1,000 year event, estimated to have a force greater than multiple atomic bombs.
In so many words, they sent them over there to stop this energy and they got fucked up. So as a result, you'll get ready to see the tsunami aspect of this thing, as well as the tsunami aspect of this thing, as well as the prophecy. Alright? So not only is this tsunami we explain, but we talk about the legacy of Vietnam.
Now, I'm sure many of you will be well aware there was a rather terrible eruption out this way very recently, on the 14th and 15th of January, in fact. The area is no stranger to volcanic eruptions, and there's been numerous ones in the past. In fact, this is what the island looked like in 2014, two separate islands. Then in December of 2014, a massive eruption caused a big plume of ash to rocket into the sky. This settled down in January of 2015, forming this big island that we can see right here. So this is some footage of Crater Lake, and it was filmed near the summit in 2017. This was taken by NASA. Then things changed dramatically and tragically with an eruption just this month. Now, it's very early days to tell at the moment exactly how things stand out here, but it seems, to all intents and purposes, that the island, the newly formed island there, has been destroyed. So in this video, like I said, I want to take a look at this area in Microsoft Flight Simulator. This is Tonga as it appears in Bing Maps. You can see it's got very much the older satellite imagery here, the two separate islands. The much more recent footage with the central crater lake here, the island that formed back in the start of 2015. You can see there's a weird shadowy effect between the two different islands, and that's a little bit more apparent here, maybe a build-up of ash or something like that. But the central island, the central crater, certainly isn't apparent yet.
If you take it and associate everything inside of the body, mythology is not only created to explain parts of the things that's going on in the Maya illusion of the earth, but it's also talk about cosmic world that's going on inside of the body. Now inside of the body, the gods and the demons represent the upper and lower nature. The root chakra is where the demons are housed. You understand what I'm saying? Because we're trapped by the physical elements. The gods in this case is not the demiurge. The gods is the highest faculties of consciousness, putting the energy from the root chakra, transforming it through the heart chakra, on into the pineal, pituitary, hypothalamus, the pearly gates of Zion.
All this caused by a huge and rare volcanic explosion.
Yes, this is absolutely unique in my experience. There hasn't been an event from a volcanic eruption and such an explosive eruption previously. So this is a big surprise.
As a result, you'll get ready to see the tsunami aspect of this thing, as well as the tsunami aspect of this thing, as well as the prophecy. Alright? Can you ask a question? Well, why is still
volcano has been erupting for nearly a month. Hunga Ha'apai lies north of Tonga's capital, Nuku'alofa, and last night's volcanic activity was the biggest so far, also sparking warnings in neighbouring Fiji and Samoa. Satellite images capturing the moment of the eruption, a huge plume of smoke and ash billowing out over the region. But for many in Tonga, they didn't have time to flee. Tsunami waves crashed into the Tongan coastline. Warnings were issued for multiple countries, including the east coast of Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Hawaii, Alaska, and the US Pacific coast.
Now, people, are we assessing the extent of the damage that this volcanic eruption could trigger and has already caused? This is January 17, 2020. Today is the 17th. This is published today, tonight. If it's midnight, it's the 18th. Yeah, it's the 18th. Okay? At the time of this recording, it was January. So, as you can hear and see and feel this energy, I'm literally feeling this energy that is erupting where my ancestors were traced. I recently traced my ancestors back in 2017, 2018 to Queensland, Australia, and New Zealand. This is on my father's side. My father recently transitioned 1 year ago, January 8th. And I think it was the 7th is the time of his passing. The actual day. So this volcanic eruption happened a week after his passing, which was on the 14th, the day that my son was born. Yes, January 14th is my only son's solar return, his Earth Day. So all of this is resonating with me very heavily. I've been meditating heavily, having dreams, and just tapping in healing frequencies. I've been surrounding myself with purity, detoxification. I've been in the lab working on remedies and face creams and lotions and actual drinks that heal the body and, you know, the mind and the spirit. I am very, very tapped in at this time. And so when I turn on Serious Times Media and they're showing a video of the tsunami, I believe it was back in 2005, and they were talking about Vietnam. He went in and he showed a video of this exact area where H.P. Lovecraft wrote in his book Book of Shadows or Demons or something. The Necronomicon. Okay? This is what it turned into later. This is what we know it as. And this is what inspired the movie that just recently came out. And I believe somehow these people know every 1,000 years this eruption, and they knew about it. They and all the names that Bobby Hemmitt gave this great entity. It's like it's a god. It's a titan. It's like a force from the very beginning of humanity, of the universe. Forget humanity. This is very deep. This is very deep. This is very deep. Let's continue. Let's continue the video.
Modern horror is H.P. Lovecraft. H.P. Lovecraft wrote the cosmic tales of Cthulhu, cosmic beings that used to rule the earth before man did. Wherever man, called the great old ones. Where man rules now, the great old ones rule and shall rule again. One of the heroes and one of the great ones of the great old ones is a god called Cthulhu. South African Cthulhu. But Cthulhu, there'll be a great day when the Cthulhu will rule us again. That is nothing but he's an aqua. He's a squid-like octopus deity. He's like a squid-like entity, like an octopus, which represents the cosmic nature, but it also represents the nature on the inside of us. So there's the great old ones, Cthulhu, which is the father of the whole group of beings that was overthrown. They used to rule the earth at first. There's Nero Hotep, which is the only one in the cult that is human, is a black man called Nero Hotep. And all of these particular entities have Egyptian derivatives. Cthulhu, Nero Hotep, one called Azapos, one called Shemidorah, that's the woman, is a spawn of 1,000 young. She's the Kali figure. And there's Hastar and Yosakos, who knows the gateways. So these are the cosmic beings in what is called a Cthulhu mythos that later on wrote a book called the Necronomicon. Now, Cthulhu used to rule the earth. This is a titan figure. Because you see the amphibious type nature, this is also the rendition of that particular one out of the H.P. Lovecraft myth. If you take it to the real mythology of Egypt, it would be the goddess Apep. Ra overthrows Apep. If you take it to Samaria, it would be Tiamat. Marduk overthrows Tiamat, the great mother. In Tibet, it's called Lama-Yin. This evil that just so happens to be the feminine energy. In Christian mythology, it's Leviathan. You see what I'm saying? On and on and on. On and on and on. In other mythology, she's called Melusine. In Greece, she's called Echidna.
are a little behind on this podcast because it's a good excuse. You know how I do. I have to make sure that the information that I'm presenting to you all is factual, it is relevant, and it is of a healing nature. I always want to tie anything that I create into the metaphysical aspects of our lives. I feel like that is a missing part of the melanated community. We are gathering. I do feel the shift. And if you are on your shadow work and you have been digging in deep these past 2 years, especially these past 2 years, even though some of us have been doing it for way longer, and it's not an overnight process. One of the reasons I created this poetic cast is to offer healing poetry, of course, deep and well-written academic books, metaphysical books, spiritual books, self-improvement books, new ways to bring information, perspective, and especially factual information that has been hidden deep in the vaults of the Vatican. That's just a play on words. You know how the Vatican hides everything, probably has half of the world's history in its basement somewhere, along with these other countries. And the reason that I'm excited about this particular poetic cast is because I have created a new way of kind of storytelling. I always want to play around with my information and how I present it. So as you view this episode, Dark Matter Readings, you're going to really get just a taste of what the metaphysical masters, such as Bobby Hemmitt, Serious Times Media has been putting out Bobby Hemmitt's information for a very long time. Please go over and subscribe to their Patreon. It's the only way. They do put up, a few videos, but it's never enough. And their videos are like 5 and 10 hours long. That's the old school way that the masters used to teach us. And I miss that. I can sit hours and hours just listening to Dr. Delbert Blair, Dr. Hendrik Clark, Anthony Browder. There's so many. Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, Dr. Africa. I can sit and listen to these people. So what I decided to do was take little snippets of Bobby Hemmitt and him basically being the prophet that he is. This was an 05 lecture, and all rights are to Serious Times Media. I want to stress that. I normally, make sure that I give credit where credit is due. There is no intentional copyright infringement. I just want to express to the people, through Bobby Hemmitt's words, the power that he possessed back in those days, and I'm sure now. But I would love to hear what he has to say about specifically the volcanic eruption that has occurred on January 14th. Now, when I'm making this poetic cast, I am just watching the news and watching the fallout, and and as I'm making it, I'm just learning more and more things about it. So at the time of creating this production, I have limited info, but I'm just really gathering all the facts that Bobby Hemmitt wanted us to be aware of with this spiritual evolution occurring through our collective consciousness. Now let's please not get spooked out, because we're going to be discussing H.P. Lovecraft, and a lot of people look at him as like some kind of spooky character, yet he was having these dreams, and a lot of us don't know that he is the father of horror. He is the reason that you're watching Godzilla, Mothra, all these vampire movies, all of the nemesis that you now know of today. A lot of, up and coming horror writers were taking things from H.P. Lovecraft, not knowing that H.P. Lovecraft was touched somewhere. He was very connected to this spiritual realm and the metaphysical realm. So when you're listening, you cannot, family, take these things literally, okay? Remember, we are in a spiritual war, and these spiritual beings that you will see that represent the nature and the cosmic force of the planet, the as above, so below aspect of the human being. And if you listen carefully, you will understand this video. If you are not ready or prepared for this type of information, if you have not graduated to the orishas and the spiritual aspects of your humanity, then you're on the wrong channel. So once again, you're tapped in. You are listening to the higher frequencies of dark matter readings. I am Majestica Melanin. Tap in, stay connected, and I'll be back to comment, and we'll talk about this. And please comment any thing that you want, really. Just comment, let me know how you're feeling about this. I'm just really interested in the effects, and I just turned on the news, and on January 20th there was another volcanic eruption in Costa Rica, and so we are seeing something happening on a cosmological level. We're seeing the planet itself reacting to something that is happening spiritually amongst melanated beings. I truly believe that. I believe that our collective consciousness is becoming so strong, even if we're unaware of it. There's a lot of us waking up on the planet, and it's a metaphor of the giant literally waking from its long slumber. And if you look around the world, the earth is also waking. So this is the reason that I want to show you this creation that I put together, and I hope you enjoy it. I hope you learn something. I hope you tap in spiritually. Keep your mind open, keep your third eye open, and tap into the power of your melanin, because we are here to protect your melanin. Follow us on Instagram at Majestica Melanin. Follow us on Twitter at My Loud Whispers. My artists, creatives, I still am seeking for you to just check in so that you can benefit from all the resources and what I call our artist toolkit. And you'll definitely appreciate what we do over here. So, without further ado, I will be in and out of the broadcast, but I really want you to pay attention to the visuals and what Baba Hemmitt is profoundly warning us about. And his genius is just unmatched. So I did want to bring this. I'm not sure who else is doing it, but I haven't seen anyone else discussing how the planet has correlated with the spiritual bodies of melanated beings on the earth. See if you can make that connection. I have. So here we go.
Although there was this thing that was going on the earth of the Tutus and the Tutsis, what we found out was the Tutus eventually originate in the Congo. That is the Apollos. And the Tutsis have an origin with the Orishas in some type of way, although their origin, their worship could have been broken down. 10 years ago, it was a cosmic war, a churning the cosmic ocean against the Tutus and the Tutsis. And the Tutus, Cthulhu's, killed off the Tutsis. This ain't got nothing to do with no moralism. It's got something to do with a battle behind the physical realm where they got these entities. The enemies against the great old ones, which is Cthulhu, is called the elder gods. And the elder gods trap the great old ones in there too. Apparently Cthulhu and them fellas sleep in their tombs because they got a little old. The elder god, which was a younger god, is just elder to the human race, but younger than the great old ones. The elder gods came in and saw them sleeping and put what was called the elder sign on Cthulhu, and when Cthulhu and them in their tombs woke up, they found out themselves was trapped inside of a dream. Not like you being trapped into the Matrix. I often wondered what was the elder sign, but H.P. Lovecraft never really understood what it was. He just said it was the elder sign. But the elder sign is nothing, none other than the human brain. The human brain tells you that this Matrix is real and this illusion, and therefore you are trapped where your soul is Cthulhu in your body, dreaming these dreams. So Cthulhu and them got the elder. What is the tomb? The tomb is the physical body. Cthulhu and them was asleep and got trapped in the physical. And as a result of getting trapped in the physical, the elder gods created this brain with angels or angels of light